Hello, my friend. What if I were to suggest that on some level, everything that you are experiencing outside of yourself is on some level a mirror or a reflection of an inner state, characteristic, or belief that you may be holding on to inside of yourself on some level, whether it's consciously or unconsciously? This concept is something some people refer to as the mirror principle. It's this perspective, basically what I described, that we experience the reality through the projections that we place on reality. This is what some might call, on some level, an inner to outer reality. Now, the psychological perspective of the mirror perspective is one where we are basically placing our states, our projections, our beliefs, our ideals, how we believe the world works. We expect to see it outside of ourselves, and therefore that is all we can see. Example of this would be people who might sabotage relationships. So if a person had an inbuilt expectation that let's say all relationships were doomed to fail, then even if you paired them up with the most amazing person, even if you paired them up with someone who genuinely would just be there for them through thick and thin, then the person who believes all relationships are doomed to fail would eventually do something to break the relationship, even if it was themselves that was leaving the relationship. They might even go so far as to say, I know you're being insincere, you're just making fun of me because nobody acts that nice, right? Another example might be someone who believes that everybody is secretly judging them. So if they're walking down the street and they notice someone looking at them, they might be thinking in the back of their mind, oh, that person's judging me. And the thing is it doesn't even matter if the other person is judging them or not. The moment that the self believes it starts going into the same physiological response that it would whether or not that person actually is judging you. So on some level, if that's your experience, you're experiencing that someone is judging you. See, this is the power of the mind. This is why when they say things like the placebo effect are so powerful, is because we have the ability to place ourselves in a reality based on our perceptions. And again, coming back to the concept of the mirror principle, if we're placing our expectations and our projections and our awarenesses on reality, what we are experiencing mirrored back to us is often only ever our interpretation of the experience coming back. Okay, now I'm not saying that is the only case. We are able to experience states of neutrality in which we can just, it's almost like we have a top-down view in which we can almost just observe things as they are beyond our judgments. In fact, this is why meditative states can be so powerful, because they can help us come into places where we take a bit of a step back from our mask, right? We take a bit of a step back from our identity, and we can simply observe things for a moment, right? Without the judgments. Again, we're not saying even the judgments or the discernments are bad. It's just sometimes when we want to take a breath and go, what's going on? We can do that. That's one of the things meditation, presence, mindfulness can help us with. Then we can come back into the human experience. We can come back into the identity. We can come back into the role, into the thing we're playing with a little less attachment to the identity story. Here's an interesting way to play with reality, right? Because I'm sure you've heard about the whole idea of let go of attachment and identity and ego death. Wonderful. You can do all that. It can be very helpful because when you get used to the concept of ego death, you get used to the concept of, let's say, ego rebirth. You get used to the idea of being able to play with identities and experiences in reality. And this is one of the paradoxes. If you are able to be a little bit more playful and light with reality, you can have your human experience without getting so without us getting so overly attached to it. And or if you witness yourself getting really drawn in and feeling intense about it, you can remember how to come back into presence and almost like give yourself a breather, like, oh, whoa, I was getting really drawn into that. Okay, one moment. All right, let's go back. Let's get back into it. Because a perspective that I think would be really fun to, offer some new thoughts on, some new facets on, some new looks at, is that, a spiritual expansive oneness experience isn't necessarily superior to or better than your unique human experience right now. Because if so, then I'm sure you would place your consciousness attention more focused there. The reason that we are, one of the reasons that we are here, that we are consciously focused as the unique being that we are being right now, is because on some level it's what we are having the most enjoyment doing. And while I can understand, and this is not at all to take away from anyone's experience, because we can be in the human experience and be in a challenging time or suffering time or joyful time or what have you. But I would just offer this perspective that if you were a great infinite being having a multitude of experiences, that you would probably go through all kinds of iterations as a result. Now, that being said, without getting even more existential than we were starting to go, I want to offer to you this idea with the mirror principle that you can feel free to play with if you like, is that we talked a little bit about projections, right? We talked a little bit about how our experience of reality can really be shaped by our beliefs, our patterns, our expectations, and our projections. And our experience of reality can also be shaped and modified by our vibrational resonance state. And what I mean by that, if you want to get super, super simple about it, is if you would like to feel this for yourself, because you can actually feel your vibration right now. So if you'd like to, you can close your eyes or get comfortable. Please only do this if you're in a safe place to do so. You could draw in a little bit of breath, right? So you can draw it in through your nose and out your mouth. And you could do this a few times. What we're doing is we're bringing the attention inward. So you can do this right now if you want. You could bring your attention inward in your body without trying to do any specific thing. Go ahead and feel with your senses, right? Feel what it's like to be you right now. Breathe in and out. And remember, we're not blaming or shaming. There's no right or wrong answer for this. All we are doing is being aware of how you are being right now. And what you might start to notice is, how does it feel? Where in your body do you feel tingling sensations? Or where in your body do you feel tightening or loose? Do you feel any tickling anywhere? In your chest, in your head? Is your energy up in your thoughts, in your mind? Are they running in circles? Is it down in your belly? Does it feel open or clenched, expansive? Is it in your feet, tingling, in your hands? Just sense in your body. Feel your body. Feel your state. As you feel this is an example of your vibrational state. If it feels good to you, once you feel ready, you can breathe in a bit more and come back into this awareness right now, while also being conscious of the vibrational state of your body, how it feels, how it resonates. And this is the not just the sensations you have. The sensations are indicators. They're indicators of the overall vibration. They're one set of indicators. But your vibrational resonance state is a state of being that is tempered by the things that you consistently give focus to day in and day out. The things that the thoughts that you think, the places that you place your attention, the media that you consume, the people you spend time with, the environments you are in, all of these things come together to form your vibrational state. And your vibrational state is then mirrored back at you in reality. Your vibrational state is then mirrored back at you in reality. And this is why a lot of places that will talk about manifestation talk about the importance of your vibrational state. Because more than trying to go out and make something, there is a perspective that everything exists all simultaneously. And depending on how you are being in any given moment, you may find yourself drawn towards or repulsed with or by people, situations, events, experiences, whatnot and whatnot. Now, we won't dive too deep into that one in this specific video. But what I will offer to you, if nothing else, is we talked a little bit about the mirror principle as both a psychological phenomenon, right? Like what you are likely to believe and perceive is likely what you are going to place on others. But I'm also offering to your attention the vibrational phenomenon of it. Even beyond your beliefs and such is the field of you, which you are cultivating moment to moment. But the really beautiful thing is you get to constantly cultivate this garden, right? This thing is not a one and done fixed experience. In every single moment, you are an ever-changing, glorious rock garden that is constantly being sifted and raked and or not, you know, depending on how you cultivate your rock garden. And the reason I bring this up is because sometimes we perceive ourselves as needing to be fixed, or we judge certain elements or aspects of ourselves. And I would offer to you that for myself, the most loving experience of reality I've had so far is one where I decided to just drop the shame and blame and condemnation. I decided to remember, you know what, I'm just some kind of star child or whatever you want to call it, having an experience here on this earth, figuring it out the best I know how. And as I'm going through these experiences, I'm learning stuff, or maybe learning again and again. And the less that I get hung up on the stuff that's shame and blame and guilt, the more fluidly I start living and embodying not only the kinds of experiences that I delight in, but the kinds that everyone else around me delights in. Because a lot of times, right, when we're in the shame, blame place, we can get stuck in the thought loops, and we then place our focus on that, and then we start expecting that reflected back at us, mirror principle, right? So what I have found is we're not attempting to avoid any feelings we have. We be with the feelings, but we don't prolong them through trying to carry them around like a dead albatross around our necks. And so, you know, even as I say, no shame, no blame. Well, if you feel that, then cool. No shame or blame that you feel shame and blame. It's quite all right, right? We're all consciousness having a human experience. And the more that you have a bit of that peace with yourself as you go through this experience, the more you start understanding that for others. And the more you do that, the more reality is likely to reflect back to you that same kind of ease and understanding and fluidity that comes with living the flow-based life that you know that you're feeling called towards. And so for now, if you've reached at this point in the video, I would invite you to share a comment, a feedback, a story if you've been experiencing mirroring in your reality, or if this is something that you've come across. I'd like to hear your experience of a mirrored reality. And this may provide some mirrors for all of us as well, because every single one of us who's watching this video, we're interacting. We're interacting here across time and space. Everything's happening now. When you're watching this video, it's happening now. It really doesn't matter when I recorded it. Right now, we are having an experience. And so I invite you to share what comes through. I also invite you to like and subscribe if this has been of help, or send it to someone you think that it might help them out. I have in my description area some links, some things that people can go visit. I'll sometimes offer one-on-one support, or there are group workshops as well. Go ahead and feel free to check them out if you feel called. And in all cases, it is my greatest inspiration that this video has been of some service to you, and I look forward to when we get to connect again.